Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show today. And we are going to be talking about different stories of people who've experienced some really incredible healings. And they've shared their stories with me, and I want to share them with you. And do you believe that healing requires a miracle? Or do you believe that our trillions of cells govern themselves and create the bodies that we have? So, like, for instance, how does the eye know how to focus or the muscle know how much energy it will need during your walk today? These are the unseen workings of the world of the cells that reside within us. And I believe in miracles, and I believe in healings, and I believe in things unseen and not fully understand, and these things that require faith in something unseen, because I have lived this and I have experienced this on a day-to-day basis in the job that I do. It's pretty incredible. I want your life to be filled with meaning and purpose, and these struggles that we have in our lives will show you the miracles that are waiting to show themselves to you. When you start to believe that this journey of life was meant to be rich and deep, and there are ups and downs and ebbs and flows, but every single time you struggle, be it a health or emotional issue or financial or whatever it is, and it brings you to your knees, the very thing that is causing so much suffering can turn around and lift you up in a way that you never expected. It can be a blessing in disguise. And it can be one of the best things that ever happened to you as this struggle turns to wisdom and you gain understanding and it enriches your life and you overcome it and it begins to unfold in your life in a very deep way. I have lived long enough now to see this happen again and again and again in my own life. And it has been a thrill for me. I teach classes and talk with people who sometimes seem to coincidentally show up in my life, and people who have deep, deep desires to be well. And they're so unsure of what will work for them after trying so many things, whether it's special diets, supplements, medicines, or a million other things. And they seem to be running out of options. And they often become very desperate. And as a last resort, they're, trying something new that they've never tried before, which is embracing the trillions of bacteria in their body and trying to change what they eat and trying and looking for hope everywhere. It was just as miraculous to me when I first tried it. As I conquered these problems one by one and my body began to heal itself, and it seemed to want to heal everything that I was struggling with. And I never understood the power of changing what I ate and ingesting these fermented foods that are filled with billions of probiotics. But when I did, it really changed everything for me and for my family. And then slowly I shared it with my friends and it began to change them and their families. And it has just been an incredible journey for me. I have a lot of stories. I have a page on my website called Culture Food Life Lives Touched page. And people send in stories and they tell these incredible stories of things that have happened to them when they started to ingest these probiotic foods. And you can go and see a lot of these stories there. Some of the ones I'm going to share were sent to me in emails, and they asked me not to share their names, but they wanted to share their story. So I was going to share them. But a lot of these stories are on my Lives Touched page, and we have so many more, and we get them all the time. But I wanted to share a few of them with you because I hope it encourages you, because maybe someone that was experiencing the same thing you're experiencing and has found wellness. And hearing somebody's story brings hope to you, and it brings you, an encouragement to try something new, or even some answers that you've been seeking. So I wanted to share a few of these with you just to maybe encourage you and help you find something that could help you and that you could put into your life, just as these people have. The first story came to me. This was a private one. This came in an email. And it's quite miraculous, and I wanted to share it with you. And she asked me not to share her name, so I'm not going to share her name, but I can share her story. And she said, "Dear Donna, I am a relative newcomer to all things fermented and cultured. I only started making kraut and milk kefir for the past year, and boy, what a learning curve it has been. I will add here that my husband and I first started eating sauerkraut that I would buy, and it was the best I could afford from our local organic store. Beautiful bottles of real vegetables, not the rubbish they sell in tin cans on the shelf. And my husband hated it. It was such a struggle to get him to eat it. And then I took the plunge and started making my own. And oh my, how things have changed. He loves my kraut and my vegetables now. Anyway, when starting with making kefir and fermented foods, we had high hopes, but never ever did I think that it would affect or improve something that had changed my life 20 odd years ago. When I was in my late 20s, I was given the devastating news that I had herpes. We are pretty certain it was from when I was attacked at work when I was 19 and the virus had laid dormant in me for all those years. I say devastating because for me it was, well, I felt dirty, ashamed, and knew that this is something that never goes away and it affects everything. Your physical body, the pain that is associated with it each and every time there's an outbreak. It affected intimacy with my husband, and mentally, it just used to bring me really down. And then there's those dreaded prescription drugs that they give you to lessen the severity of the outbreaks, and supposedly they suppress the virus so that the outbreak becomes less often. But trust me, these drugs don't do much, and they certainly don't do our bodies any favors on a long-term basis. I asked doctors, and they basically all said to me, sorry, you just have to live with it. There's nothing more we can do. But they were wrong. As I have said, I've been making kefir and fermented foods for a year. And guess what? It has been nearly 9 months, yes, 9 months since I've had an outbreak or taken any medication for this nasty virus. I never ever expected or even thought it might affect my herpes virus. It took me several months to even realize it was working. In over 20 years, I have never gone more than 2 months without an outbreak. And yet, lo and behold, here I am, 9 months and counting. This isn't a story I can share with people usually, but I wanted to let you know how kefir and fermented foods in general have affected me, but particularly the kefir. They have helped me so much, and it's something that has affected my life for such a long time. I am happy for you to share this story with others, but of course I would like you to withhold my name, as this is very personal to me. But by sharing this kind of story helps someone else preserve or find the success that I have had with my virus, I would be pleased indeed. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Wishing you all continued success, good health, and mostly love. And I was very surprised when I read this story because I did not know that kefir could help with herpes or so many different ailments that kefir helps with that I didn't even know would affect. I remember many years ago, people started sending me emails about how kefir affected their kidney health and how their kidneys in function was improving. And I didn't know that. And so I started doing research on the probiotics and how much they affect kidney health. And people who have had problems with hepatitis C, I started receiving emails about that. I've got some of those on my live test page. And all of these things I didn't even know were affected by bacteria or would be helped by kefir, but they were. Here is one of my very favorite stories by a woman named Tara Belderuk. I love this story. It's very heartwarming, and I've kind of kept in contact with her a little bit, and she's actually told me that she drinks even more kefir now than they did before, and it's a wonderful story. And she said, I'm very thankful that my husband made it out alive from Tower 1 on 9/11 with 8 minutes to spare. I am also very thankful for you, Donna, because he has recovered from 11 years of PTSD due to 9/11, partially because of you. It was after we started drinking kefir every day that he started to really do better, despite everything we had done herbally and nutritionally for him. He was off all medication, and now he's doing great. But he was unemployed for much of those 11 years, and we have 7 children. Talk about stress. Now we make 2 gallons of kefir every day and drink every bit of it. The kids love it, and I feel better, and so does my husband. You've given all 9 of us, a new lease on life. If only we knew how terrible awful our lives had been for the past 11 years. It was incredibly hard. The only light at the end of the tunnel was the oncoming train. I feel like a little girl on Christmas morning every morning now. I truly love life now. Thank you, Donna. And she wrote to me a few years after she had sent me that and told me that they drink I think 4 or 5 gallons a week now of kefir. They've got a large family, but what a tremendous story that was. And I hear this again and again, people who have a lot of emotional issues, because so much of what is going on in the gut and the brain is connected through the vagus nerve. And those emotions, you get those strong anxiety, depression, fear. All of those things are also greatly controlled by the gut bacteria in your gut. And there's a new docuseries out now, and I haven't watched it, but it's got a lot of doctors, medical doctors on it, and it's talking about it's interconnected, I believe is what it's called, and it's talking about that 90% of the diseases they're discovering are coming from the gut. And it's all about bacteria, and I'm anxious to watch it. I think it's going on this week. And it's an exciting thing as the world wakes up to the fact that we are really more bacteria than we are cells in our body. We're less human than we are bacteria. We have 10 times the amount of bacteria in our body than we do cells in our body. And so basically what we are is just bacteria walking around. We're more that than we are anything else. And there's something about connecting to that and understanding that and harnessing that information and changing our gut flora and taking care of that part of this beautiful, miraculous body that we live in that seems to change everything. And science is just now catching up with it. There's more and more research coming out, and it's opening up this whole new world. And it is so thrilling to me because I have lived this for almost 2 decades. And I mean, prior to that, I had tried so many diets, guys, and so many things and nothing really worked for me, but this worked for me. And I didn't even understand why it was working. And then years later, research started catching up and started to explain to me why I got rid of my diabetes, why I got rid of my high blood pressure, why it helps me with hormonal problems, why it helps my emotions, why it helped my daughter's IBS and food allergies. And the list just kept going and going. And through years of working with people, it has just been such a journey for me, because never in a million years did I think the answers to my prayers would come in a jar that sat on my counter that had billions of microbes in it. But that is how the answers came to me. And I didn't really realize what was happening in the beginning, but I would spend countless hours researching, trying to understand what these foods, this kefir, had done to change my daughter and myself and then my other family members. And there wasn't a lot of research, but there was a lot of research on probiotics. And so, fast forward 18 years, 17 years, I think it's been 17 years. I mean, it's just all starting to just flood into the market and to the research. People are waking up to the fact that we're more bacteria than we are anything else. And for so many years, all we did was kill it with antibiotics and antibacterial soaps. We didn't understand the power that lived within us and all around us. That was here to protect us and help us digest our food, help us to make all kinds of vitamins and things that we need in our bodies, lowering all kinds of inflammation, increasing our immunity, keeping us free from disease. It's a pretty incredible thing. And I think everybody's starting to wake up to that. Well, I hope they are. At least I hope to see that. And that's my job. This is my job, to make it a little bit easier for you. I post a lot of articles. I try to explain things in a way that you can incorporate it into your life. And you know what? You know what I really think? I think when the tools that people need, and when you're looking for something, they show up in your life in some way or another when you start to seek them. When you start to look for answers, they come to you. And I have seen this time and time again, not only in my own life, but in all the people that I help. And then you have a choice. You get to make a decision. Now you got to take the steps. You have to understand that decision changes everything. And that's what happened to me. The answers that you seek are doing everything they can to get to you, but you have to open the door and you have to walk through it. It's how it works. And I've lived long enough to see this path to wellness work. And often it feels like a miracle when it does. And yet I think it's just this genius design that these miraculous bodies that we live in have the ability to heal themselves. And we just have to give them what they need. Wellness is so much more than just one or two things. It's more than even eating correctly. That's only a part of it. It's also about what you're thinking, about how you're moving your body, the stress in your life. Your thoughts help create this chemical factory inside of you. It creates all different kinds of chemicals inside based on what you're thinking. based on how you're feeling, your emotions. It's a chemical factory inside of you. And stress and discouragement can really change not only your microbiome, but it can change everything in your body because your body's constantly making chemicals that could far outrival any pharmaceutical company because it's just incredible what your body can do. And it has changed me in such a miraculous way that to this day, I live every day and I get these emails from people and I am just flabbergasted at all the different things that our bodies can do. And I want to share with you another story that I got not too long ago, and it's pretty incredible. And it has I love these stories because there's things that happen that I never even knew that these foods could affect. And this is from Karen Summer, and she said, "It saved my life. No kidding. After 4 serious bouts with diverticulitis and 2 hospital stays from abscesses, I knew I needed to make a change or I would need surgery to remove part of my colon. Doctors told me I really didn't have a choice. I would keep getting them until one of them possibly killed me from an infection, and I know it's very serious, so I took their advice very, very seriously." It's a very long story, but your book was the answer to my earnest prayers for wisdom and getting my health back. I was a mess. I happened to be on Amazon and I saw your first book, and on a whim I bought it, and the rest is history. It's been 2.5 years since I had an attack, after 4 in under 2 years. I've lost 60 pounds. I feel amazing. My blood pressure is consistent at 118/72. I went off all my diuretics with my physician's hesitant permission, and my blood sugar stabilized to well within normal range. I make and eat kefir, kombucha, sauerkraut, and fermented vegetables every day. I cut out white sugar and flour, only use honey and homemade maple syrup from our trees. I taught so many people to make fermented foods that someone's always coming over to learn. So your book has been a gift to me and it has changed so many people's lives. I feel it's a small investment I can make in the lives of my friend and family. When I found you, I was at my lowest and I reached up to God for mercy and He led me to you. I don't mean to sound overly dramatic, but it is true. People who knew me are amazed at the transformation. They say I look 10 years younger, and I have 11 grandkids and can actually keep up with them now. I've raised about 40 chickens on non-GMO feed and sell excessive eggs to help pay for the feed. I have a huge garden. I use fresh, and for my ferments, I use their vegetables. The grandkids can't wait to come to Grandma's and pick carrots, peas, tomatoes, peppers, or whatever Grandma lets them pick. And life is so good. Thank you, and God bless. Here's another story from Jasmine Griggs. Donna, I want to thank you for putting this life-changing information out for people to discover. There was a point in my life when I was going through a very hard time mentally. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and found out I had a hormonal imbalance. I was feeling down most days, but with the change in my diet, vegan, and taking supplements, I started to feel a lot better and stable. But near my periods, the depressive symptoms would come back and I would have major anxiety attacks and could barely get out of bed. I prayed to Jehovah God to help me and to show me what I was missing, and then I stumbled on your website and learned about kefir. Immediately brought some and noticed a major difference in my mood and anxiety levels began to lower. I am now drinking kombucha and kefir daily and just started with cultured vegetables. It was an instant relief, and I truly believe God answered my prayers. I have to say, all your emails that you send out about hormonal imbalances came at a time when I was feeling my lowest, and they reminded me that I needed to stick with my probiotic foods and actually take more. I truly believe God is using you to help others, and I'm thankful for His help and yours as well. And honestly, guys, people are thanking me, but honestly, these answers would come to you whether I was here or not. I really believe that. I believe that we all have gifts that we use with one another. And it's not me that's helping you. It's just you're seeking the information and it's coming to you. And when you get well, you're going to help so many other people. My struggles have turned into helping other people. And I am so blessed for that reason, for that alone, because this is the most wonderful feeling in the world, is to help someone else, especially when it comes born out of your own struggles. And these people are doing the same thing I'm doing, and what a blessing it is. And the more people that know about this, the more people will share it. And the more people get better, the more they can tell their friends. And that's how things grow. And that's how our health changes too. When we share what has helped us, we can often help so many other people. I have another one that I love, this one. It's by Christina Neal. And she says, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much for the information included in the email of September 30th, 2018. I had a sinus infection and fluid in my ears for 3 months. I took strong antibiotics for 3 weeks. And since then, I have been diligent about eating the vegetables to restore my digestive tract and I feel very good on that score. But I can't hear well in one of my ears, and it constantly has that annoying sensation of popping, clicking, and pressure shifting that is usually associated with an altitude change. I did the Q-tip trip method in your email 5 times in the last 24 hours, and my ears feel so much better, less pressure, and I can hear. What a huge relief. Thank you so much for this email and for getting the word out there." Now, if you want to know what the Q-tip tip is, it's I had a lady email me and told me that she had a really bad sinus infection, and she'd had it for 6 or 9 months. I can't remember how long it was. And she said that she took some a Q-tip and she dipped it in some of her cultured vegetable juice and swabbed the inside of her nose, and she could breathe again. Now, I can attest to the fact that this does work because my daughter has done it many, many times, and I've done it many times. And often when you have sinus problems, it's a yeast inside your nose. And there is something about swabbing the inside of your nose with some cultured vegetable juice that makes your nose clear up. And I don't know why it works, but it does. And so I've been getting story after story after story of people who have been doing this and how much it has helped. And they're finding that a lot of sinus problems are yeast related, candida yeast related. And these powerful probiotics work very, very well to help candida to go back to its rightful place. And so if you're interested, try the Q-tip tip because it actually does really work. I've tried it myself and it does work. I have one more story I want to share with you, and it's about asthma. It's a really great story. And she said that she had great win with her ferments recently. And I'm going to read you her story. "I had great wins with my ferments recently. I had a severe asthma attack, and this last Tuesday, there was a huge dust storm in our area that was so bad, visibility was less than a block. At the worst point of it, I was in the emergency situation out in the middle of this dust storm. Long story short, my airways started to close, and once I got inside, I was using everything I knew to keep breathing. The asthma medication, essential oils, tinctures in the nebulizer, nothing was working. But then I had this strong desire to drink some brine from my cultured vegetables. I listened to my body and could only get a little sip down between coughing, gagging, and grasping. But that little bit helped. And then I got some more down. And in about 30 seconds, things were starting to calm down. I drank a little more, and that's when I was able to eat a few of the fermented radishes and mango slices that the brine came in, and the attack stopped. I love these little minions in my jars that stopped my asthma attack in its tracks." And one of the very first people that I ever showed cultured vegetables, or ever told about cultured vegetables, had a little boy who had asthma. And he actually got rid of using his asthma inhaler because of the powerful ability that these vegetables and the brine and the bacteria that's in them to help neutralize these asthma attacks. And he used kefir too. Kefir was the thing that helped him the most. And he literally got rid of his inhaler. And once she had been giving it to him every day, and then she kind of quit doing it because he got better and she forgot about it. And he was only 7 years old. And one day he was standing in front of the refrigerator door, and he had big tears rolling down his cheek. And he says, "Mom, I can feel my asthma coming back because you're not giving me my kefir." And he goes, "I need my kefir." And he was crying. And that little boy knew that that was helping him stay well. And what a testimony that was to them staying on kefir, because it made all the difference for him. And I remember seeing that and was so shocked that it worked on that, because I didn't know that it would do that. And fast forward 17 years later, and I have seen it do miraculous things with so many other ailments, including my own. And it's just a godsend. It's a wonderful thing to have food like medicine in your fridge at all times. And it's so easy to make. It's 10,000 times easier to make than yogurt. You basically just, stick some culture in a jar and put it in either non-dairy milk or whatever, you work best with. Let it ferment for 24 hours on your counter. And then you've got kefir. It's super easy. And kombucha is wonderful. It's everywhere. It's growing like crazy. It's helping so many people. Cultured vegetables will last 9 months in your fridge. All of these foods are so easy. Water kefir is fantastic. Everybody loves it in place of soda pop. It's fun to make. And there's just so many benefits to these foods. And I just want to be the messenger here. I don't, everybody's thanking me, and that's a wonderful thing. But at the end of the day, I really am so thankful that everybody's finding wellness, whether it's me or anybody else that's teaching them. We all deserve to be well. Life is full of ups and downs, but it can feel so wonderful when you feel good. And I found a quote that I posted on my Facebook page this week that I absolutely loved. And it was by Hippocrates that said, "Before you heal someone, ask him if he's willing to give up the things that made him sick." And the wonderful thing about these foods is as you start to eat them, you start to crave them. And you start to give up the things that were actually causing the inflammation and making you sick. You start to feel hopeful. That gives your bodies, the strong ability to heal. And the answers that you seek start coming to you. And I know that because I've lived that many times over. And I see it every day in our business by the hundreds of emails that we get, and that we do our best to answer each and every one. And I hope that if you're seeking wellness, that it will find you. And I think that it will, because I see it over and over again. And if you do get well, please share with others. Share with me. I love it. I love to hear these stories. It's what gets me up in the morning. And I love that you're helping others with your life, with your struggles that you overcome. And so this is my encouragement to you to just maybe think about the fact that you're 100 trillion bacteria. Feed them a little bit. Give them lots of prebiotic foods, fruits and vegetables. They love it. They grow. They multiply. And it can make all the difference in your life. Life is a wonderful journey. And if your body's looking for a miracle, chances are it already lives inside of you. Have a great week, everybody.